Lord, gotta calm down. Let's go into something light, man. Welcome back. Same night, Friday night. Welcome back to the Doc Report. And I'm sorry. I'm Doc. Welcome to the File Report. I need to get used to that, man. We just had some deep, heavy stuff, man. Prayers to the family of no bells, man. Gone already. We know that. We just don't know what happened, and hopefully we're gonna find out by sharing and continuing to pass on information, man. Terrible situation they're in. Like I said, I wanted to lighten it up, so I'm gonna go into interest of mine, wrestling, man. I found this interview about the wrestling rivals for the clip, man. Found this and I thought it was kind of interesting, and I wanted to see what my knowledge was as far as how to say it. Oh, my mic is right. My mic is right. Let me make sure my wrestling knowledge, am I still up to par? Like I got cool knowledge. I have like a gap in my era of knowledge, but that's like with the whole John Z Attitude era and all that. And shout out to SummerSlam coming out. That's kind of why I did this in the spirits of that. But yeah. That's why I need to check the sound. In the spirits of that. But yeah, there we go. All right, cool. That's crazy. I need to remember that this is the amplifier. Yeah. So I want to see if I'm up to date, if I remember my stats, you know what I'm saying, on these wrestling. This show in particular is or this clip in particular is wrestling interviews went horribly wrong. Let's get into that, man. Shout out to Wrestling Rivals for the clip, man. Wrestling Rivals, there goes his logo right there, his or hers. It's a guy on the clip narrating, but I believe so. Yeah, if I remember seeing this. Let me see. Let's get to it.
And let me answer the question. All right, you got a situation that you don't know what you're talking about.
Before the show,
billionaire.
After the show, I wanted to kill her.
Did you?
I wanted to choke her out.
DDP.
Whether I can beat you or not, I'm twice your size. I have twice your strength.
When a WWE star sits down with a media outlet, they represent more than themselves. They carry the company's image with them.
See that wrist? 7 years it's been broken. Owen Hart, dead.
But when the wrong question gets thrown by someone who doesn't understand professional wrestling,
Just let me tell you this. Next time you want to do an interview with me, you come and ask me first.
even a straightforward sit-down can detonate.
I just happen to have a fork right here. Huh? With the old,
That's I'll do with a butcher. Man, my guy is a goon. He some ain't up. Shout out to him. He's still alive, but something ain't right.
From unexpected blow-ups that leave hosts scrambling,
You want my comment? Is that funny to you? Huh? Funny. Are you having fun right now?
to moments where the microphone captures something far beyond words.
I will headbutt your teeth through your skull. Do you hear me?
It captures pure chaos.
He's all right. He's just sleeping. He's sleeping.
Here are those moments.
Oh, pause.
Kurt Hennig. When a wrestler dies, the grief doesn't stop at the fans. Those inside the industry must process their loss behind the scenes.
No, it's as my son gets into football tomorrow. We get into football tomorrow. A lot of kids gonna go out there. Hopefully, go out there, play safe. But these sports and these athletics, man, you can't. I didn't not only downplay the head injuries, but the actual injuries in general, the bumps, the bruises, the actual bumps that wrestlers take, the football players take, athletes take on a daily basis. And I'm saying it's an excuse, but pain mixed with addiction is a crazy thing. Mixed with prescription addiction for this prescription pain.
scenes, often while still performing live television. During
Happy Friday, y'all, man. Or happy whatever day it is for y'all, period, if y'all watch it on the replay.
a 1999 backstage interview on WCW Nitro, Curt Hennig was being questioned about his upcoming...
I don't remember this one, but it's kind of probably nitpicking, but didn't know Owen Hart and Mr. Perfect was so close, or Curt Hennig. I would assume, I'm not surprised they are, though, given history with Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig.
Match with Booker T. It was a routine segment, right up until the interviewer abruptly shifted the conversation toward the recent passing of Rick Rude. Hennig answered, but it was obvious he hadn't braced for such a personal question.
Condolences to the loss of a very good friend of yours and ours, Rick Rude.
He spoke about people who had profited alongside Rick Rude, yet couldn't be bothered to attend his funeral, letting his frustration bleed out on live television. Before
for him to say that on live here, if he did, that's big, because just dealing with death and passing friends and all that stuff, it's a real offense. You're able, you kind of don't go to pay a condolences, and then sometimes it's situations where you possibly could understand why a person may or may not want to go, but then going through grief, you need your close people with you. Sometimes the excuses or the reasons may not be reason enough for everyone.
Before walking off, Hennig made it unmistakably clear that the interviewer had gone too far.
And, our best wishes are with you.
Let me tell you this. Next time you want to do an interview with me, you come and ask me first.
Melanie Pillman. One of the most shocking and tone-deaf moves Vince McMahon ever made was conducting a live, on-air interview with Melanie Pillman. Not even 24 hours earlier, on October 5th, 1997.
I'm sorry, I was just joking though. She's not smoking, y'all. I'm just tripping. I just seen Dark Side of the Ring, and it's shout out to those fellas too, man, over there, man. Dark Side of the Ring, tapping in them, but what was it? That wife, the strange wife, how she looks there, she looks like a million times. She looks terrible, but just to keep it real, like a better words, it's and whatever he was going through, she was going through it worse. She's still alive going through it. Done the jail, missing teeth. It's bad. Very good series though. Very good series. Check that out, Dark Side of the Ring.
Brian Pillman, just 35 years old, was discovered dead in a hotel room in Bloomington, Minnesota. He had been scheduled to face Mick Foley that same night at Bad Blood, and fans were still absorbing the devastating news. Viewers watched in disbelief as Vince conducted a satellite interview with Pillman's widow, asking how she intended to provide for her children in the wake of her husband's death, while she was visibly shaken and still in shock. The whole segment...
That's crazy, because I kind of remember this, and this is kind of like the era where I was off and on watching, you know what I'm saying, in the Navy. May have had cable, may not, I don't know, who knows, may have been on deployment, who knows, but I just kind of remember this segment, but not knowing it's not a play, or it's not real, like real life. I don't remember going through looking at this, but if this is the day after he passed and she got on, let's go on Monday Night Raw. Come on.
Was agonizing to watch.
What you have been told as far as Brian's death is concerned.
With the Wrestling Observer newsletter labeling it the most disgusting promotional tactic of 1997 for its staggering lack of sensitivity. Diamond Dallas Page. When mainstream media turns its lens on professional wrestling, it tends to arrive loaded with assumptions rather than understanding. That gap was on full display in April 2014, when Diamond Dallas Page appeared on the Nancy Grace show following the death of the Ultimate Warrior.
I'm smiling that, but she was on the other video I just did with Nolan Wells, rest in peace, and like I said in the beginning of the video, or the live, just
what unfolded, however, had nothing to do with honoring a life or celebrating a legacy. Rather than exploring Warrior's career and contributions, Grace repeatedly pulled the conversation towards steroid abuse and the premature deaths of other wrestlers. At one point, a graphic listing deceased wrestlers was displayed on screen, strongly implying steroid use was the cause.
Take a look at wrestlers who died young.
The list included Owen Hart, who died as a result of a tragic in-ring fall and had no connection to steroid use whatsoever, along with
Right, and that's propaganda, man. And rest in peace on Art, man. It seemed like he was a good dude, like talked about in all these documentaries, and I don't think he deserved to go out. Nobody deserved to go out anyway, but like that way, yeah. Falling from the ceiling. It's people not knowing what happened. The show went on too. Like, wow.
steroid use whatsoever, along with another wrestler, Mark Curtis, who had passed away from cancer. The inaccuracies, layered on top of the timing of the segment, triggered immediate backlash.
Now, I know nobody's ever accused you of being a medical doctor, but what I'm saying is tonight, claims of drug use and steroids swirling.
DDP was visibly uneasy throughout the interview and later said he felt completely ambushed by Nancy Grace. During a 2016 podcast appearance with Sam Roberts, he revealed he had never seen the graphic before the broadcast and only became aware of it after the show had already aired. According to Paige, Grace had been perfectly pleasant off camera, but turned combative the moment the interview went live, tossing aside the topic they had agreed to discuss.
Before the show.
What'd you think of her after the show?
I wanted to kill her.
Did you? You did, right?
I wanted to choke her out.
He later described her conduct as unprofessional and stated he would never return to her show. The tense exchange spread rapidly online, with wrestling fans and industry figures, including Cody Rhodes and the Iron Sheik, standing firmly behind Paige as the hashtag #CancelNancyGrace trended across social media. Goldust. Most of the time, it's the reporters who ask strange questions that put wrestlers on edge. Every now and then, though, wrestlers flip the dynamic entirely, leaving the interviewer completely at a loss. Goldust's sexually...
Dude did a character risking it all, man. For the love of wrestling, he's still around too. Dustin Rhodes, man. Dustin Rhodes.
He charged gimmick throughout the mid-1990s was one of the most provocative characters in wrestling history. His androgynous persona, blended with overt eroticism and psychological mind games, pushed every possible boundary on WWF television and, by most accounts, helped pave the way for the Attitude Era. The character drew enough mainstream attention that it reached late-night television. When Goldust appeared on Late Night with Conan O'Brien in March 1996, the results were nothing short of chaotic. The segment was designed to build anticipation for his Hollywood backlot brawl against Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 12. Things started innocently enough before quickly unraveling. Refusing to step out of character, Goldust, alongside Marlena, kept firing off sexually provocative remarks, asking whether the microphone in his pants was real. Conan attempted to hold things together, but it was obvious the segment had drifted well past anything manageable on a live talk show. Whether the interview was an elaborate work or a genuine derailment is still argued about to this day, but one thing was beyond dispute. Conan O'Brien was completely overwhelmed on his own stage. Roddy Piper. As one of the defining figures of 1980s wrestling, Roddy Piper was a force behind the microphone, capable of going toe-to-toe with absolutely anyone put in front of him. So when talk show host Bill Maher sat down in 1999 with wrestling legends...
that's his thing with no face thing. Crazy. Roddy Piper, man, he should just really be on Mount Rushmore. A lot of people are on Mount Rushmore or wrestling. If you watch, when you talk about wrestling or wrestling entertainment, whatever it is, Roddy Piper is, rest in peace to him. His impact to the game. His personal life. I don't know what was cracking on that side, but I ain't heard too. I don't know. Tap in if you know any smut. I ain't heard too much smut on Piper, man. You know what I'm saying? Because it might sway my decision. But no, shout out to Roddy Piper, man. I'm gonna give him the round of applause for now. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace. Mount Rushmore.
Roddy Piper. As one of the defining figures of 1980s wrestling, Roddy Piper was a force behind the microphone, capable of going toe-to-toe with absolutely anyone put in front of him. So when talk show host Bill Maher sat down in 1999 with wrestling legends Sting, Alundra Blaze, Bobby Heenan, and Piper himself, fireworks were practically guaranteed. Maher persistently dismissed professional wrestling as fake, asserting that wrestlers didn't genuinely get hurt and didn't endure real injuries. While the rest of the panel was clearly irritated, Piper took things several steps further. In a moment that left the audience stunned, Piper pulled down his pants to expose his surgically replaced metal hip and directed attention to a broken wrist, both injuries he had suffered inside the ring. He then told Mar to go and talk to the family of Owen Hart.
7 years it's been broken. Owen Hart, dead.
About how fake wrestling really was, and the discussion came to an abrupt halt. If any wrestler was going to stand up for the business in a mainstream setting, it was always going to be Roddy Piper. And that evening, Bill Maher found out exactly what that meant. Vince McMahon. Throughout his time at the top of WWE, Vince McMahon built a reputation for turning confrontational when the media came knocking. Whether he was aggressively defending his company during the steroid scandal or snapping at journalists during press conferences, most notoriously on the night of Owen Hart's death, McMahon frequently treated scrutiny as a personal attack. But perhaps his most infamous out-of-character appearance came in 2001, when he sat down opposite Bob Costas. The conversation opened on relatively calm footing. McMahon spoke with confidence, promoting the early momentum of his newly launched XFL. That composure didn't hold. Costas quickly challenged the league's credibility, pointing out that its tight association with WWE made it nearly impossible for traditional sports fans to take seriously. From there, Costas pressed harder. He steered the conversation toward WWE's lengthy history of controversy, raising Owen Hart's tragic death in 1999 and the widely criticized segment in which Trish Stratus was made to bark like a dog on television. McMahon clearly had not anticipated the interview heading anywhere near that territory.
All right, I'll be happy to answer. You got a situation that you don't know what you're talking about.
What followed wasn't really an interview anymore. It was a power struggle. Both men began cutting each other off, talking over one another in a battle for control.
Have you pulled back on the level of risk in some of these maneuvers?
Where are we at? As far as anything aerial, absolutely.
In a 2021 book titled Tinderbox, HBO's Ruthless Pursuit of New Frontiers, McMahon laid out his frustration with Bob Costas, claiming the interview fell apart almost from the very start. Once we were doing the interview, he kept interrupting me and bringing up topics that had nothing to do with what we were supposed to be talking about, McMahon said. I wish he wasn't 5 feet high and 140 pounds. If he was 6'5" and 295, he would deserve to get the shit beat out of him. Abdullah the Butcher has always carried a reputation as one of wrestling's most dangerous and unpredictable performers. His brutal in-ring style, heavy reliance on blading, and refusal to cleanly separate kayfabe from reality made him notorious not just between the ropes, but during public appearances too. That reputation came into sharp focus in 2009 during an appearance on the Canadian morning show Daytime Ottawa, where Abdullah had been invited to promote a Great North Wrestling event. What was supposed to be a simple promotion.
I think 2009, so I think he had a restaurant, so I think his stuff was still cracking. He was in Canada for a certain reason, man. He got a lot going on, man. Man, he's still alive, man. Thank God, man. I think, but these dudes live a type of life, man. Man, let me know in the chat if y'all know how Abdullah the Butcher. I remember him coming up on WCW, man. He used to be kind of wild.
Segment took a startling turn when Abdullah suddenly launched an attack on host Derek Fage.
You used to fork yourself in the ring, right? Through the whole thing.
In reality, made him notorious, not just Bob Costas, claiming the interview fell apart almost from the very start. Once we were doing the interview, he kept interrupting me and bringing up topics that had nothing to do with what we were supposed to be talking about, McMahon said. I wish he wasn't 5 feet high and 140 pounds. If he was 6'5" and 295, he would deserve to get the shit beat out of him. Abdullah the Butcher has always carried a reputation as one of wrestling's most dangerous and unpredictable performers. His brutal in-ring style, heavy reliance on blading, and refusal to cleanly separate kayfabe from reality made him notorious not just between the ropes, but during public appearances too. That reputation came into sharp focus in 2009 during an appearance on the Canadian morning show Daytime Ottawa, where Abdullah had been invited to promote a Great North Wrestling event. What was supposed to be a simple promotional segment took a startling turn when Abdullah suddenly launched an attack on host Derek Fage.
So you used to fork yourself in the ring, right? Through the whole and the blood. Now, was that all real blood?
He produced his signature weapon, a fork, and cut Fage's head, drawing real blood on live television. Although the attack itself was reportedly arranged in advance, the blood was not, prompting legal departments on both sides to get involved. Fage later stated he had never approved the stunt and had been caught completely off guard. Incidents like this weren't exclusive to unpredictable personalities or small-scale television. Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. More than 2 decades earlier, a far more prominent platform became the scene of a serious incident involving Hulk Hogan. It's widely understood that WrestleMania was an enormous gamble for Vince McMahon, with the company's entire future hanging in the balance. With everything at stake, McMahon pushed hard for mainstream exposure. To promote the event, Hulk Hogan and Mr. T, the headliners of the main event, appeared on Hot Properties in March 1985, a talk show hosted by comedian Richard Belzer. The interview began without incident, but things turned peculiar when Belzer repeatedly urged Hogan to demonstrate a wrestling hold on him. Mr. T immediately tried to shut the idea down, making clear it wasn't a good plan. Belzer, however, kept pushing, insisting it was all.
See, Mr. T know about the kayfabe, know about stuff is not real. Don't play with it because he might really do it to you. I'm not gonna play with it. I'm in a world. This dude is shock value, Mensler or whatever his name was, shock value to try to hey, this stuff is fake. You know what I'm saying? You're not really strong or get hurt or whatnot.
All harmless fun. Eventually, Hogan gave in. Hogan moved behind Belzer and applied a front chinlock, a hold capable of cutting off blood flow if applied with too much pressure. Within seconds, Belzer
like you're lying, and then he put his hand, out like, "Come on." Hogan, like, man, that's a cool little.
His body went completely limp. Hogan released the hold, and the host crumpled to the studio floor, his head striking the ground with a loud, jarring thud. For several tense moments, the situation looked genuinely serious. Mr. T nervously joked that Belzer was just taking a nap.
He's sleeping. Really, I was a sleeper hole. He'll be all right.
While Hogan looked visibly horrified. After a few slaps to the face, Belzer eventually came around, dazed and disoriented, as the show scrambled to a commercial break. The fallout was no laughing matter. The following week, Belzer returned to television wearing a bandage, revealing he had needed over 100 stitches.
That's who that cat is. I was like, that looks so like the dude from SVU. Shout out, SVU, man. Oh man, I was like, that dude looks just like him. Damn. Small world. And
he immediately tried to shut the idea down, making clear it wasn't a good plan. Belzer, however, kept pushing, insisting it was all. For several tense moments, the case was ultimately settled out of court for an undisclosed sum. Undertaker and Big Van Vader. By 1990, terrified, after a few slaps to the face, Belzer eventually came around, dazed and disoriented, as the show scrambled to a commercial break. The fallout was no laughing matter. The following week, Belzer returned to television wearing a bandage, revealing he had needed over 100 stitches after splitting his head open on the floor. He subsequently sued Hogan for $5 million in damages for personal injury, though the case was ultimately settled out of court for an undisclosed sum. Undertaker and Big Van Vader. By 1997, WWE had begun establishing itself as a truly global force, stretching its touring schedule well beyond North America. While on tour in the Middle East, The Undertaker and Big Van Vader appeared on the talk show Good Morning Kuwait as part of routine media duties. Things got off to a rocky start almost immediately when host Bassam Al-Othman raised the idea that wrestling was fake. The Undertaker was visibly annoyed, but as the reigning WWE champion, he kept himself in check and offered a...
Well, it's good to wear sunglasses on interviews and things like that, or just occasionally. Sometimes, you know, the eyes tell a lot. You know what I'm saying? That used to be an old trick, but He will be on to
measured
it now.
response,
Vader got
explaining the
mask on,
athleticism, the
everything.
travel, and the physical toll that wrestlers absorb night after night.
After that,
Vader,
like,
however, showed no such restraint.
Vader,
Clearly
okay.
offended, he flipped the table over, got directly in the host's face, and shouted, threatening to beat him to a bloody pulp. Police were called to the studio, and Vader was placed under arrest. Although he was detained for 10 days, he reportedly spent the time in a luxury hotel rather than an actual jail cell, and was fined $164. WWE would later acknowledge the confrontation and Vader's arrest on screen, using it to reinforce his tough, no-nonsense persona. Randy Orton. No one would dispute that Randy Orton had serious difficulties managing his temper early in his career. Thrust into the spotlight at a very young age, he became the youngest world champion in WWE history, but has openly admitted he struggled to cope with the pressures of fame in his early 20s. Those struggles resulted in multiple suspensions and even a 4-week stint in an anger management program. One moment on live television illustrated just how combustible the apex predator could be. In 2009, while riding high as WWE champion, Orton was part of a WWE tour in Mexico. What began as a lighthearted interview, with questions about what he ate for breakfast, took a sharp turn when the host suggested, apparently as a joke, that Orton might be somewhat fragile given the number of injuries he had piled up throughout his career. Already wound tight, Orton snapped. He snatched the glasses off the host's face and threw them aside, threatened to headbutt him, and warned that things would get physical if the reporter didn't back off.
I will headbutt your teeth through your skull. Do you hear me?
The segment made headlines across Mexico, cementing Orton's image as someone both unpredictable and dangerously volatile outside the ring. Sable and Chyna. At the height of the Attitude Era, Sable and Chyna stood as two of WWE's most prominent female stars. Despite their shared status, the two could not have been more different in personality, in approach, and in ring style. By 1999, the quiet friction between them had become very public and very real. Just weeks before WrestleMania 15, Sable, Chyna, and Deborah appeared together on TSN's Off the Record to help promote the upcoming showcase of the Immortals. What was supposed to be a standard media appearance spun rapidly out of control. When the host asked Chyna,
Chyna was top dog, female. She was better than a lot of male wrestlers. More popular, all that. Sable as well. I think she's over here. Deborah's in the middle, I want to say, but they're top attractions. And I guess they have some friction. I never seen this one though.
Why she wasn't pursuing the women's championship, held at the time by Sable, the ninth wonder of the world, flatly responded that she had zero interest in the title and added that she could beat Sable in 2 seconds. Sable fired back, questioning how Chyna could.
Good for Sable to fire back because it take away from kayfabe. Like, we can't believe, we're supposed to like leave something to the imagination that she may be able to beat you. You say that you just basically shitting on the championship, just saying like, oh yeah, I could beat you in 2 seconds, and I don't want that championship. If I wanted to, I could beat you in 2 seconds. So, discredit you and the championship. That stuff sell tickets.
Make that claim when they had.
I mean, that stuff's. Excuse me. That stuff sells tickets, meaning the credit of the championship, the credit of Sable. If you discredit it, you're gonna lose it.
Never once faced each other. Chyna retorted that she was twice Sable's size and strength. Sable shot back. I work just as hard as you do, but I don't supplement my body the way that you do. Without hesitation, Chyna referenced Sable's own enhancements. The allusion to her breast implants, unmistakable. The tension inside the studio reached a boiling point. And before things could escalate any further, the host rushed to a commercial break. The explosive confrontation made it clear that the animosity between Sable and Chyna was simply impossible to contain.
Whether I can beat you or not, I'm twice your size. I have twice your strength.
Big Show. A scripted backstage interview is about the last place you'd expect things to go sideways, yet even those can unravel completely. Following his loss to Alberto Del Rio at the 2013 Royal Rumble for the World Heavyweight Championship, Big Show was interviewed by Andrew Green. Still playing an enraged giant, Big Show grabbed Green by the collar, shoved him into a production crate, slapped him, and unleashed a profanity-laced tirade before storming off.
Don't ever come up to me again after something like that. Ever. You understand me?
While WWE framed the moment as storyline-driven aggression, Green later claimed the encounter was considerably more intense than he had been prepared for. He alleged that Big Show hit him far harder than expected, and that the segment left him genuinely emotionally distressed.
You gotta put yourself on. Come on now, dude is 7'4". It's like you're gonna be doing acting with a wild animal or something. Not to say he's a wild animal, but like you have to be prepared that they might attack or something like this. 7'4", you're about to act with him. You're about to take a blow from him. It might hurt. You might have a possibility it might hurt if you flinch or get scared or whatnot. You know, it might hurt. Man, shout out to the Big Show.
Shortly afterward, Green filed a lawsuit against both WWE and Big Show, citing negligence, invasion of privacy, emotional distress, and unjust enrichment, arguing his likeness had been used on television without proper consent. WWE promptly moved the case to federal court in Arizona, pointing to a release and waiver Green had signed as part of his employment, which indicated he had accepted the physical risks associated with WWE programming. The lawsuit faded without significant public fallout. But the incident remained an uncomfortable reminder that even inside the tightly controlled world of WWE, things can still go very wrong. CM Punk. Ever since breaking through, CM Punk has carried a reputation for speaking his mind, and that reputation extended well past his...
Here's a question for y'all, man. Do y'all like CM Punk personally and or professionally? I'll say professionally. I'm not digging well. I think that's pretty impressive. He been to the UFC, even though he got kind of his feet whooped out there, but that's impressive to even say you can go back and forth, you know, professional wrestling or WWE, AEW, professional wrestling type stuff, sports entertainment, over to UFC, mixed martial arts. That's pretty dope. But as a character, I never liked
his time in WWE. It was on vivid display during a 2014 interview with Michael Landsberg on TSN's Off the Record. At the time, Punk had just walked away from WWE and was publicly setting his sights on a career in the UFC. While preparing for that transition into mixed martial arts, Punk sat down for what was supposed to be a routine media appearance. Instead, the conversation quickly started to feel less like an interview and more like a setup. As the segment progressed, Landsberg repeatedly steered things back toward Punk's WWE past, a chapter Punk had made abundantly clear he was trying to leave behind. His questions came across as condescending, focused more on Punk's failures in WWE than on the challenge he was preparing to take on in the UFC.
And CM Punk, he be kind of going off like I know him and his wife are both public figures. His wife is more probably more alluring to people because she's been missing from wrestling. Not missing, but like she took a break from wrestling for like so long. And she was very popular. You know, AJ Lee, you know, shout out to her, you know, shout out to AJ Lee. Again, just somebody I really wasn't too familiar with. Like that wasn't the era I was kind of watching. I missed out a little bit on there. Like I said, she's back, and then but you know, they're walking around traveling. You know, TMZ gonna catch them here and there, man. It's been a couple of incidents, man, where I think they, you know, I don't know if they came too close, you know, 30-mile boundary, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. 30-mile radius, get away from me, you know what I'm saying? But shout out to CM Punk anyway, even though like I said, I don't like too much of his character, but in wrestling versus privacy and et cetera, et cetera. So does his wife, you know, AJ Lee, you know, but let's get back to the content.
Punk, visibly irritated, called Landsberg out directly on his tone, noting that the host seemed far more interested in baiting him than in genuinely discussing his ambitions as a fighter. Punk suggested that Landsberg had spoken to him in a completely different manner before the cameras went live, implying the host had arrived with an agenda. Dean Ambrose.
Dean Ambrose, he's in AEW now. Shot him out. Damn, man, my thing is lag again. Hopefully it's not presentation ain't all janky. You know what I'm saying? Dean Ambrose He been in the game, man.
Summit of WWE, capturing the WWE Championship for the very first time. Fans were energized to see the former Shield stand out positioned as the face of the company, and WWE was keen to ride that momentum. As part of that push, Ambrose was booked to appear on the Steve Austin show. What followed became one of the most uncomfortable conversations in that show's history. Initially, the discussion moved along well. Ambrose opened up about his difficult upbringing and the winding road he had traveled to reach WWE's main event. But the tone shifted noticeably when Austin raised Ambrose's underwhelming WrestleMania 32 match against Brock Lesnar. Ambrose's responses came off as defensive and bitter, and Austin's body language made it plain he wasn't accepting the explanations being offered.
I mean, hey man, I question why we're doing all this. I'm just going to drop out. I don't see the value in it.
As the interview continued, the gap between them only grew wider. Austin pressed Ambrose to articulate his mindset as champion, what fueled him. By the time they neared the end, Austin's frustration was unmistakable. He told Ambrose bluntly that he came across as someone coasting rather than fighting to prove he belonged at the very top. The comment visibly deflated Ambrose. The WWE champion retreated into himself, and the remainder of the interview crawled to an awkward, hollow conclusion. Years later, the conversation still weighed on Austin. During a 2019 episode of his podcast, he admitted the interview continued to bother him. For whatever reason, we got off on the wrong track, and it was a rough podcast, Austin said. I felt so bad about that interview, and I was leading that interview, so I got to take the blame for it, because I'm there to get people over and make them come off like $1 million. We just came off on the wrong street and kept taking left turns, and we never got back on track. He had his reasons, and I had mine. Ultimately, the interview didn't derail Dean's career, but it did lay bare how quickly momentum can evaporate at the top, something that became evident when he dropped the WWE Championship just weeks later. David Schultz may not be a name every wrestling fan knows, but his legacy is permanently carved into history because of one explosive moment that reverberated through the media in 1984. While Schultz competed against major names like Hulk Hogan, his notoriety had nothing to do with championship wins or memorable feuds. It came from an interview that spiraled into outright violence. At that time, professional wrestling guarded its image ferociously. Wrestlers were expected to maintain the illusion that what fans witnessed in the ring was entirely real, no matter what took place behind closed doors. Schultz, a towering, intense figure, took that unwritten rule more seriously than almost anyone. That conviction was put to the test during a backstage interview with ABC reporter John Stossel for 2020. Throughout the segment, Stossel persistently suggested that professional wrestling was fake, pressing Schultz to acknowledge it was all scripted. In a moment that shocked everyone watching, Schultz snapped, slapping Stossel multiple times directly on camera. The strikes were forceful enough that Stossel later claimed he suffered permanent hearing loss in his right ear. The footage detonated into national news. Television networks across the United States replayed the incident over and over again, debating whether Schultz's response was a justified defense of the business or a straightforward criminal assault. Schultz argued that Stossel had provoked him, but the consequences came swiftly. According to the New York Times, Stossel intended to sue, and
acting like on a show, like you on Saturday Night Live, you go in there, you do a performance, you kiss and hug somebody, can they get you for, it's just like, where does the line get drawn? Like they take rappers' lyrics and take them to the courthouse and say, hey, they said this in the rap song, even though it's entertainment.
WF rapidly fired Schultz, desperate to separate itself from the ballooning legal and public relations fallout. Stossel ultimately filed a lawsuit against the World Wrestling Federation, which was settled out of court for $425,000. The incident became forever known as the slap heard around the world. In his defense, Schultz maintained he had only done what he was instructed to do by Vince McMahon, insisting he was ordered to stay in character and make an example of the reporter. I did what I was told to do. Vince McMahon told me to blast him and tear him up and to stay in character and be Dr. D. I didn't even know who John Stossel was. I made John Stossel. Nobody knew him before that. He went on TV crying like a baby saying I beat him up. And later on, he even admitted his injuries were neurosomatic, meaning after he got his money, he didn't hurt anymore. For Schultz, though, the damage was irreversible. His wrestling career never came back from it, and his name became tied not to anything accomplished between the ropes, but to one of the most notorious interview moments.
I think he's still around, man. You know, shout out to all these wrestlers. You know, the ones that were entertaining, and they were all about entertaining and away from their families, rest in peace and all that stuff. But the good ones. Let's go one more. Since SummerSlam coming up, let's go one more for SummerSlam and wrap it up. You know, shout out to y'all if y'all in the chat, man. The Foul Report. Let's see if we got any SummerSlam WWE legend explain how scary Bobby Lashley is. I'm just trying to do something random, like you know, mix it up a little bit. That Big Boss Man, Dark Side of the Ring was pretty good. Dark Side of the Ring series are always hit anyways. Let's just get to that. 10 gimmicks will fail by WWE. You know what? Let's just do this. Let's just do this. SummerSlam WWE this week or 2026. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. All right. So we got we don't want the we want the some every confirmed match just leaked. It wasn't leaked. Or I mean it probably was leaked back then. Let me see. Bold predictions. Oh, that might go. I'm not doing the 27 minutes though. Let's get into something. Let's see what they got. This dude was 8 days ago. SummerSlam kickoff. Let's see. Should we go? Let me see. It's a little shorter. Way off. 22. That was 11 hours ago. Okay, that's more current. This dude is MrSantizap. Let's see, man. Let's see.
Ladies and gentlemen, SummerSlam is tomorrow, and yet somehow it's not even close to being the biggest party of the summer, because that was yesterday when my wiener dog, Dwayne the Dog Johnson, went back-to-back 2025 and 2026 Wiener Dog Bash champion, baby. Anyways, I just wanted to brag about that. In today's video, we're going to look back and see how good or terrible my SummerSlam predictions for 2026 were. Immediately after Night of Champions, I tried to predict the entire SummerSlam 2026 match card, and now a month of it being uploaded, and we're going to see if my predictions were any good, or maybe I had some better ideas than WWE. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know that you're going to fall in love with this YouTube channel, because we always upload daily wrestling content. But if the daily wrestling content just simply is not enough for you, consider coming over to the Patreon, patreon.com/SantizApp, where you're going to get so much more extra content.
This is Santis.
Like the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, PLE reviews, and so much more content. Go check it out. That's where we're going to end with footage. So go check it out. Again, link in the description, link in the pinned comment. All right, folks, that's enough. Let's see how good or probably terrible these predictions that were already announced for SummerSlam when I made Night of Champions, or like literally like immediately after Night of Champions on Monday Night Raw. Normally when I make my upcoming PLE predictions, I make them like the Wednesday after a PLE. So it's not normal for WWE to have announced this many matches that early on in the cycle. Anyways, the 3 matches were Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. And honestly, had they not made this prediction and had WWE not done what they did, I obviously would have predicted Obafemi versus Roman Reigns, because Obafemi won the King of the Ring, which it told us if you win King of the Ring, you get to go after a champion of your choosing. And considering Oba had called out Roman Reigns after WrestleMania, I mean, you know, it stands to reason that it wouldn't be crazy for us to have predicted Obafemi versus Roman Reigns. But as we know, WWE loves to just push back their big matches, loves to just put aside the opportunity to crown a brand new top face, top champion in the company. So we're going to have to wait on that. That being said, I am excited for Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. The Last Dance, there's not much you need to do. You know what? Like, there's not much heavy lifting that you got to do to get me excited for another Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins matchup. I'm here for it. Again, I wouldn't have predicted this had it gone the way that it typically ought to have gone, but here we are. Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar is the other one that was immediately made right after.
It's tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific time. So I'm probably back home. Me personally, I'm just not doing the $29.99. I think it's pretty dope. They're doing it in Minnesota. Big wrestling town, big wrestling greats came from Minnesota. For real.
Night of Champions, where Obafemi forewent his opportunity at a world championship and immediately challenged Brock Lesnar to a Hell in a Cell match. We know his logic and his reasoning now. It makes sense. It's still kind of flawed, where he says that I'm choosing to exercise the demon of Brock Lesnar. And I mean, logic would have said that if he wanted to cost you a big match, he would have costed you the King of the Ring finals, which he didn't. Anyways, I digress. I'm obviously super uber mega excited for this. I may have, depending on how things have gone, I may have still predicted Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar had WWE, been dead set on going with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Part champion as you could possibly be. It wouldn't have been crazy for WWE to have given the championship to Brock Lesnar after 9 days of Sami Zayn being champion. I mean, they gave it to CM Punk. So again, it wouldn't have been crazy for them to give it to Brock Lesnar and make this match for the WWE Undisputed Championship. Nonetheless, it's non-championship. It is Hell in a Cell, hate in the crate, as you guys know that I love to call it. It should be the culmination of this. Obafemi should win. I'm excited for this. And yeah, I mean, all roads ultimately led to here. It made sense with the 2 matches already having been done. SummerSlam seemed like always the natural immediately after beating Liv Morgan, pick Liv Morgan as her SummerSlam opponent, like literally like after the match. So there wasn't any real drama in terms of the build-up.
Liv is like the popular fame, but like in these content people like this dude, Mr. Santee's app and all these they on Vivian
up to this. And I honestly think that there was so little drama to the buildup of this that I think WWE forgot that this match was even happening at SummerSlam in the first place, because they put quite genuinely a 0% amount of effort into getting you excited for this match. I think they're just relying on the fact that, like, hey, you love Io Sky, Liv Morgan's super popular, you're going to tune in, which, God damn it, it's true. I am going to tune in because of all of those reasons. But I wish they put in a little bit more tender love and care. And the fact that this is a feud for the Women's World Championship, but it's really just a accompanying feud to Danhausen versus Dominic Mysterio. And honestly, Raquel versus Sol Ruca got more limelight over the last month than this feud. It's insane. It's unacceptable. But here we are nonetheless. Those are the 3 matches that were announced prior to me making my predictions. Now let's get to the matches that I myself predicted. I tried to predict the match with Rhea Ripley, sue me, thinking that the champion was going to be good to go. I didn't know that the injury was that severe to the point where she was going to miss SummerSlam. Now, of course, this prediction happened after Night of Champions, so she was still gone for like the better part of a month because she missed all of June. But I think that WWE was doing anything and everything in there. They never stripped her of the title, which is really not in the norm of WWE to have an injured champion be gone for what's going to be north of 3 months and have her continue to be a champion. Anyways, I thought that she was going to come back knowing that they hadn't forced her to vacate the championship, and I don't think that that's a crazy prediction or thought that we've had. I was thinking that we were of course, Rhea Ripley and Charlotte, it's like one of the most iconic feuds in recent women's history. So to me, it just kind of made sense. Your 3 biggest names on Friday Night SmackDown in one of the biggest shows of the year. It kind of wrote itself. It really felt like that's where they were naturally trying to go. But the Rhea Ripley injury really just kind of threw everything out the window. Instead, you guys know that we have this 5-way women's ladder match. 5 is a bit of a weird number. Who knows? There might be a 6.
So let me ask y'all this. Would y'all rather seeing these 3 get down for the title, or which I think is pretty evenly matched? You didn't know who was going to win out of these 3, depending on which way they want to go. Or would you rather see what's going to happen is the 5-man or 5-woman ladder match?
Rhea Ripley's WWE Undisputed Championship, not undisputed. It literally is the opposite of undisputed, because now there's going to be an interim WWE Women's Championship. So she's out of SummerSlam, and Charlotte Flair and Jade Cargill are on the card for a match for that championship. It just also includes Chelsea Green, Tiffany Stratton, and I don't think we know who the last person is yet as of the making of this video, Julia or Lash Legend. But I think this would have been an awesome match. Like, I genuinely think that Rhea Ripley has demonstrated that she works really, really well with both of these performers in Charlotte and Jade. And Jade has shown that she works really well with Rhea. And I think that she works well with those like strong body types like a Charlotte. I really think that this could have been a really, really solid match. It's too bad that we're not going to be able to get something like this. I do think it's possible, especially if Charlotte or Jade win the WWE Women's Championship in the ladder match, that a fall match or maybe like a Survivor Series or maybe Royal Rumble or maybe they save it to WrestleMania could be this triple threat right here. I tried to predict the United States Championship match. Of course, I predicted that Trick Williams was still going to be our champion. I don't think that that was a crazy prediction. I don't think that he was in danger of losing it. Sure, when I made this predictions video, Saturday night's main event, you know, could have been a show where he lost the championship. He did have a match against Laredo, non-title, but I never really saw him in any danger of losing this championship when I made the predictions video. But look, like I'm right. This should have been the match. Instead, what we've gotten is Trick Williams versus Baron Corbin, but I predicted Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes. I don't care which way you paint it. I don't even care how much you love Baron Corbin. I like Baron Corbin. This is the correct match. Santi outbooked WWE here, and it's not because I'm some sort of booking magical genius. It's because I have eyeballs. It's because I have a functioning brain. It's because this should have been the easiest decision that you made all summer. Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes was right there. No heavy lifting in terms of like creating a narrative, a storyline, because I have a functioning brain. It's because I like Baron Corbin. This is the correct match. Santi outbooked WWE here, and it's not because I'm some sort of booking magical genius. It's because I have eyeballs. It's because I have a functioning brain. It's because this should have been the easiest decision that you made all summer. Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes was right there. No heavy lifting in terms of like creating a narrative, a storyline, because it was right there. I mean, you could have added Baron Corbin to this if you really wanted to have made it a triple threat, but instead you decided to snub Carmelo Hayes again, and I don't understand it. I don't know whose bowl of Cheerios did Carmelo Hayes piss in to deserve this type of treatment before every single major PLE, missing the Royal Rumble, missing WrestleMania, missing SummerSlam. What is going on with Carmelo Hayes, folks? So obviously my prediction is wrong, but you know, in my heart of hearts, I believe that we're currently living in the worst reality and that all the other realities made the correct choice and went with Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes, because this should be the match that's happening at this year's SummerSlam. I tried to like really book the mid-card titles here, but I did predict that we would get Sol Ruca versus the new heel Lyra Valkyria. Of course, I made this video before Lyra Valkyria even had her heel render that she now has, which is such a cool looking render and just a very awesome character in general that I do think is going to propel Lyra Valkyria here over the next 12 months. It did look like Lyra Valkyria kind of called her shot against Sol Ruca, but it was in a commercial segment promo, and we know that if things happen during commercial break that they're not necessarily canon, like for example Ludwig Kaiser like demanding a match at WrestleMania and then forgetting that he even exists, that all happened during commercial break. The entirety of Karrion Kross's push happened during commercial break, and that led to absolutely nothing. No workhorse like a Raquel win this most of the time than the ones that Rodriguez and Lyra Valkyria. So yeah, just for, you know, being in the route that WWE took. I predicted that Gunther. So yeah, just keep an eye out on this potential match happening somewhere down the line. But I wouldn't have minded it at SummerSlam, but I also don't mind the route that WWE took. I predicted that Gunther was going to get on the card, ladies and gentlemen. And you know, as much as I would have loved to see Gunther, you know, being, you know, the top heel in the company, facing like a Roman Reigns, going after a championship, being a champion, we're at the point where beggars can't be choosers, and I knew that. I do think that this was an easy prediction based on how everything went down after Night of Champions with the pushing and shoving that ended up happening between Nick Aldis and Gunther. Of course, that ended up escalating to the point where Gunther completely took out Nick Aldis, and then we had the thing that happened at Saturday night's main event, and then the official confirmation during the SummerSlam kickoff show by Triple H that we were going to be getting Gunther versus Nick Aldis. So you know, I didn't really connect, you know, some super difficult to see dots. Like, I think this was a pretty obvious matchup to go with, especially considering if you didn't do this, let's be real about Gunther for a second. And it hurts my soul to say this. If they didn't do this match for Gunther, Gunther was missing SummerSlam. There was nothing else for Gunther to do, because I just knew that WWE was going to be hell-bent on doing something entirely different when it came to Cody Rhodes. And I ended up being right as the champion and Sami Zayn, etc. If they didn't do this for Gunther, he would have missed SummerSlam entirely. I'm pumped for this match. I'm not going to lie. Like, this is probably the match that I'm the most intrigued by, because we haven't seen Nick Aldis on WWE programming as a wrestler ever, and we haven't seen him as a professional wrestler in a handful of years at this point. And you can tell that it really matters to him. I'm not sure if you guys saw him on the Chris Van Vliet show on Insights. He's crying, man. Like, he is a very emotional person when it comes to not disappointing us. He's very serious about laying it out on the line, and he understands that.
Let me see if I can do it. The ring general. I guess something like that, right? The ring general. Something like that. Where that's coming from? Huh. Oh, this volume up right here? Okay. Anyway, back to the content.
This could be his last opportunity to become like an in-ring WWE superstar. So I think he's going to lay it out all on the line. So look out for this match to be a, a sleeper hit. Sleeper hit, get it? Because Gunther's going to probably win with a sleeper. Anyways, I thought that was kind of clever. Anyways, what did I predict here? I predicted Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, and Jacob Fatu taking on Solo Sikoa, LA Knight, and bang, I got it completely dead on. And Royce Keys, let's go. When I made this prediction, it was the early days of these guys all kind of interacting with one another. Now, we hadn't had LA Knight interact with Solo and Royce Keys yet. We had the Bloodline interacting with Solo and hunting down Solo. We had the Bloodline having their interactions with LA Knight on Monday Night Raw, and Royce Keys was just kind of hovering around Solo Sikoa, and Solo Sikoa wanted his help. But, I think to the trained eye, somebody that's watched professional wrestling as long as I have, and you probably have, you were probably able to kind of see it coming that this match was going to happen at SummerSlam. What I was not expecting is, dare I say, this might be the best like traditional SummerSlam build that we have, because like obviously like Brock Lesnar and Oba Femi, like that's a great build, but like that's since WrestleMania, like this is that's a combination of like the better part of like 8 months. This is just a PLE to PLE traditional build, and I think they've knocked it out of the park. I'm genuinely excited for this match. I'm genuinely excited to see.
I mean, it's gonna have some star power out there in Minnesota. You're gonna have him, Jay will come out the Yeet, everybody, and the Fatu, they on him. I don't know. Royce Keys got to figure himself out. LA Knight, Solo Sikoa been doing his thing on the solo tip, for real. No pun intended.
How Solo Sikoa is going to interact with these characters. Is he going to turn on them? Are we going to have a Zilla Fatu appear here? Is LA Knight also going to just get screwed again and eat the pinfall? Like, I'm really genuinely looking forward to this match. So I have to just kind of like tip my hat to all the performers in this and to the WWE, because you guys know I love using the example of if I woke up from a coma and saw this. So if I woke up from a coma and saw this, I would say that this is just a hodgepodge match that they built last second with no care at all whatsoever, just for the sake of getting more people on the card. But I can't say that because I wasn't in a coma and I saw the whole build, and it's actually like pretty darn good. Anyways, I got this like 100% dead on, bing bong wepa, completely right. Here's another one that like, it's like, dude, if you didn't do this, like what are you doing? I did predict Penta versus Chad Gable for the Intercontinental Championship. This was well before like obviously like the gauntlet match and all that stuff was announced. You would have been, and let me like be like remarkably clear about this. Stupid if you didn't do this match. This was the easiest match to do. Now you got to really bring it home to the finish line, right? Now you got to have Chad Gable win. You made the man go through the perfect transformation over the last 2 years. Heel turn because of the IC championship and his descent into madness, trying to chase that championship that has eluded him. Facing off against the debuting Penta that then sent him down a further spiral to explore the dark arts of Lucha Libre, becoming a luchador, having a legendary feud for the Mask of El Grande Americano, coming back, going through his redemption arc, and now he gets to culminate it in his hometown in a major stadium show against Penta, the guy that sent him down that spiral to begin with, for the championship that sent him down the spiral to begin with. Again, clarifying, you would have been stupid to not have booked this match, but they did. So congratulations, WWE. Sometimes you just got to go with the obvious choices in front of you, the obvious choices in terms of narrative, the obvious choices in terms of what fans want, and the obvious choices in terms of what's going to give us the best freaking match, because this, if given time, is going to be the match of the night, and it genuinely has the talent in there to be the match of the year. This is where I thought the WWE Undisputed Championship scenario was going to go. I was going to predict that we were going to get Sami Zayn still as our champion. I predicted this before he lost the championship after 9 days of being champion. But yeah, I figured that we were going to get Cody Rhodes in the picture and CM Punk, that CM Punk would return to the WWE and chase after the championship, feud with Cody, blah, 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 blah. And that this right here, that this match would then be our catalyst for a proper CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes feud that could maybe bleed into WrestleMania season. Instead, what we got was CM Punk returning to the WWE, and immediately upon his return being given a WWE Undisputed Championship match out of nowhere against Sami Zayn, who was not prepared for him in Chicago.
Did y'all like that, man? First of all, let me know in the chat or in the comments, did y'all like the belt getting put on Sami Zayn, and did y'all like how it got taken off of him? Did you like the way did you like the belt getting put on Sami Zayn, and did you like the fact that it got taken off him, or did you not like the fact? Did you or did you not like vice versa?
Which is, again, double unfair for Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn lost the WWE Undisputed Championship to one Phil Brooks, Chick Magnet Punk. What I mean. And instead, the matchup that we have is Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk for the WWE Undisputed Championship. One of the most uninspiring matches and feuds that I've seen, with these big names in a long, long time. I'm still looking forward to the match, obviously. But, the feud and the buildup has absolutely left much, much to be desired. I honestly think that they should have kept Sami Zayn in this. Even if Sami Zayn lost the championship and you were dead set on having CM Punk be the champion, I think you should have added Sami Zayn in here. I really do. I think he had all the justification in the world. And on top of that, again, it would have allowed us to rest on the Cody Rhodes and CM Punk feud because they clearly did not have enough time to actually build something meaningful between the two. This could have been a nice stopgap where it could have been the first bullet fired between the two to really set us up for an actual proper feud between Cody and CM Punk, because as is, their feud is absolutely lifeless. It is going to be our night one closer, but like I'm far more excited for a couple matches that are on night one. I'm more excited for Nick Aldis versus Gunther, which is on night one. I'm way more excited for Oba versus Brock. And believe it or not, I'm more excited for the 6-man tag match involving Solo Sikoa right now than I am CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. Having added Sami Zayn, I think would have given the proper narrative piece to give us an exciting SummerSlam build, because it would have been the further continuation of Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes, who already now had a couple months of history with one another to build up. And now you add the CM Punk piece, which could have been the catalyst for something new. But instead, you tried to start something from the ground up between Cody Rhodes and CM Punk, and you just simply did not have enough time with a match of this magnitude. Speaking of Sami Zayn, at least he made it on the card. He is in a #1 contendership match against Finn Balor, which I obviously don't mind. It got Finn Balor on the card. Sami Zayn's on the card. So at the very least, it's a good consolation prize if we weren't going to get this triple threat here. All right, folks, we'll leave it there. Those were my predictions. I obviously made less matches than we ended up having at SummerSlam. I think I ended up predicting 10 matches, and we ended up, so far as of the making of this video, having 12 matches on the card, which obviously the more the merrier. We have that 6-woman tag match that never in a million years I would have predicted would have gotten on a PLE card. So I would have never predicted that. The other match that is on the card that we didn't talk about, that honestly I could have maybe predicted, like I maybe should have connected those dots, was Dominic Mysterio versus Danhausen, but I actually thought that match was going to happen at Saturday night's main event with all of the Knicks stuff happening there, because we just knew the Knicks were going to get involved. And Dominic Mysterio has worked really well with celebrities in the past, so I thought that was going to be their matchup. But here we are. We're at SummerSlam in a human money's on a pole match. But that's I don't know what I just said there at the end. Those were my predictions. Anyways, I didn't want to do like that because like my editor, he's trying to go to Rib Fest. He's trying to have a good time. Anyways, I'm out of here. Take care. Goodbye. Get out of here.
Peace. All right, man. Shout out to him, man. Head over to his channel, Mr. Sandy's-app. That's what he sounds like. He said wrestling is cool, man. He got 468,000 over there, man. Clap it up for that dude, man. Clap it up for the Foul Report, man. Some interviews, trying to see if I caught up, man. SummerSlam going down this weekend, man. We out, man, for the night, man. Appreciate it. Gone.